Nirvaira, without an enemy. Sarvabhuteshu, among all living entities. Ya, one who. Sa, he. Ma, unto me. Eti, comes. Pandava, O son of Pandu. Translation. My dear Arjuna, he who engages in my pure devotional service, free from the contaminations of fruitive activities and mental speculation, he who works for me, who makes me the supreme goal of his life, and who is friendly to every living being, he certainly comes to me. Let us do this, repeat this responsibly, okay? And just repeat after me. My dear Arjuna, he who engages in my pure devotional service, free from the contaminations of fruitive activities and mental speculation, he who works for me, who makes me the supreme goal of his life, and who is friendly to every living being, he certainly comes to me. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. It is a lengthy purport, so just try and listen carefully. It's very nice, actually. Very beautiful purport. Srila Prabhupada says, anyone who wants to approach the supreme of all the personalities of Godhead on the Krishna Loka planet in the spiritual sky, and be intimately connected with the Supreme Personality, Krishna, must take this formula as stated by the Supreme Himself. Therefore this verse is considered to be the essence of Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita is a book directed to the conditioned souls who are engaged in the material world with the purpose of lording it over nature and who do not know of the real spiritual life. The Bhagavad Gita is meant to show how one can understand his spiritual existence and his eternal relationship with the Supreme Spiritual Personality, and to teach one how to go back home, back to Godhead. Now, here is the verse which clearly explains the process by which one can attain success in his spiritual activity. Devotional service. As far as work is concerned, one should transfer his energy entirely to Krishna-conscious activities. As stated in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 2:255, Anasaktasya Vishayan Yatarham Upayunjata Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe Yuktam Vairagyam Uchyate. No work should be done by any man except in relationship to Krishna. This is called Krishna karma. One may be engaged in various activities, but one should not be attached to the result of his work. The result should be done only for him, Krishna. For example, one may be engaged in business, but to transform that activity into Krishna consciousness, one has to do business for Krishna. If Krishna is the proprietor of the business, then Krishna should enjoy the profit of the business. If a businessman is in possession of thousands and thousands of dollars, and if he has to offer all this to Krishna, he can do it. This is work for Krishna. Instead of constructing a big building for sense gratification, he can construct a nice temple for Krishna, and he can install the deity of Krishna and arrange for the deity's service, as is outlined in the authorized books of devotional service. This is all Krishna karma. One should not be attached to the result of his work, but the result should be offered to Krishna, and one should accept as prasadam the remnants of offerings to Krishna. If one constructs a very big building for Krishna and installs the deity of Krishna, one is not prohibited from living there, but it is understood that the proprietor of the building is Krishna. That is called Krishna consciousness. If, however, one is not able to construct a temple for Krishna, one can engage himself in cleansing the temple of Krishna. That is also Krishna karma. One can cultivate a garden. Anyone who has land, in India at least any poor man has a certain amount of land, can utilize that for Krishna by growing flowers to offer him. One can sow tulsi plants, because tulsi leaves are very important, and Krishna has recommended this in Bhagavad Gita. Patram pushpam palam toyam. Krishna desires that one offer him either a leaf or a flower or fruit or a little water, and by such an offering he is satisfied. This leaf especially refers to the tulsi. So one can sow tulsi and pour water on the plant. Thus, even the poorest man can engage in the service of Krishna. These are some of the examples of how one can engage in working for Krishna. The word mat parama refers to one who considers the association of Krishna in his supreme abode to be the highest perfection of life. Such a person does not wish to be elevated to the higher planets, such as the moon or sun or heavenly planets, or even the highest planet of the universe, Brahmaloka. He has no attraction for that. He is only attracted to being transferred to the spiritual sky. And even in the spiritual sky, he is not satisfied with merging into the glowing Brahmajyoti effulgence, for he wants to enter the highest spiritual planet, named Krishna Loka, Goloka Vrindavan. He has full knowledge of that planet, and therefore is not interested in any other. As indicated by the word Mad Bhakta, he fully engages in devotional service, specifically in the 9 processes of devotional engagement: hearing, chanting, remembering, worshipping, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, offering prayers, carrying out the orders of the Lord, making friends with him, and surrendering everything to him. One can engage in all 9 devotional processes, or 8 or 7, or at least in 1, and that will surely make one perfect. The term Sangha Varijita is very significant. One should disassociate himself from persons who are against Krishna. Not only are the atheistic persons against Krishna, but so also are those who are attracted to fruitive activities and mental speculation. Therefore, the pure form of devotional service is described in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.1.11 as follows: Anyabilashita shunyam jnana karma janavritam anukulyena krishnanushilanam bhaktir uttama. In this verse, Srila Rupa Goswami clearly states that if anyone wants to execute unalloyed devotional service, he must be freed from all kinds of material contamination. He must be freed from the association of persons who are addicted to fruitive activities and mental speculation. When freed from such unwanted association and from the contamination of material desires, one favorably cultivates knowledge of Krishna. That is called pure devotional service. Anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulyasya varjanam. Hari Bhakti Vilas 11.676. One should think of Krishna and act for Krishna favorably, not unfavorably. Kamsa was an enemy of Krishna's. From the very beginning of Krishna's birth, Kamsa planned in so many ways to kill him. And because he was always unsuccessful, he was always thinking of Krishna. Thus, while working, while eating, and while sleeping, he was always Krishna conscious in every respect. But that Krishna consciousness was not favorable, and therefore, in spite of his always thinking of Krishna 24 hours a day, he was considered a demon, and Krishna at last killed him. Of course, anyone who is killed by Krishna attains salvation immediately, but that is not the aim of the pure devotee. The pure devotee does not even want salvation. He does not want to be transferred even to the highest planet, Goloka Vrindavan. His only objective is to serve Krishna wherever he may be. A devotee of Krishna is friendly to everyone. Therefore it is said here that he has no enemy. Nirvaira. How is this? A devotee situated in Krishna consciousness knows that only devotional service to Krishna can relieve a person from all the problems of life. He has personal experience of this, and therefore he wants to introduce this system, Krishna consciousness, into human society. There are many examples in history of devotees of the Lord who risked their lives for the spreading of God consciousness. The favorite example is Lord Jesus Christ. He was crucified by the non-devotees, but he sacrificed his life for spreading Krishna consciousness. Of course, it would be superficial to understand that he was killed. Similarly, in India also, there are many examples, such as Thakur Haridas and Prahlad Maharaj. Why such risk? Because they wanted to spread Krishna consciousness, and it is difficult. A Krishna conscious person knows that if a man is suffering, it is due to his forgetfulness of his eternal relationship with Krishna. Therefore, the highest benefit one can render to human society is relieving one's neighbor from all material problems. In such a way, a pure devotee is engaged in the service of the Lord. Now, we can imagine how merciful Krishna is to those engaged in his service, risking everything for him. Therefore, it is certain that such persons must reach the supreme planet after leaving the body. In summary, the universal form of Krishna, which is a temporary manifestation, and the form of time, which devours everything, and even the form of Vishnu, four-handed, have all been exhibited by Krishna. Thus, Krishna is the origin of all these manifestations. It is not that Krishna is a manifestation of the original Vishvarupa or Vishnu. Krishna is the origin of all forms. There are hundreds and thousands of Vishnus, but for a devotee, no form of Krishna is important, but the original form, two-handed Shamsundar. In the Brahma Samhita it is stated that those who are attached to the Shamsundar form of Krishna in love and devotion can see him always within the heart and cannot see anything else. One should understand, therefore, that the purport of this 11th chapter is that the form of Krishna is essential and supreme. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 11th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of the universal form. Mat karma krin mat paramo mat bhakta sangha varajita nirvairasara vabhuteshu yasamameti pandava. My dear Arjuna, he who engages in my pure devotional service, free from the contaminations of fruitive activities and mental speculation, he who works for me, who makes me the supreme goal of his life, and who is friendly to every living being, he certainly comes to me. Omigyanatavarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuramanatamyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapatantikam Vanchikalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Paritanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So isn't this a very important verse? Srila Prabhupada says this is the essence of Bhagavad Gita. This verse. Yes. This verse is clearly explaining what is the process, what to do. It is very clear. No one likes to be confused or unclear, particularly in some important matter, some very important matter where you have to do something and there will be significant consequences to whatever you choose to do, whether it be one approach or another approach. So no one wants to be confused and bewildered in such a situation, to make some decision but you don't know what is going to be the result, or if it is the right decision or what. You're just hoping for the best. There was a saying back in the old days in Europe, all roads lead to Rome. In other words, if you want to go to Rome, it doesn't matter, you just get on any road, because they all lead to Rome. But it doesn't, that may have been for those people in those days, but now it wouldn't work if you got on one of the roads out here. You would find that very few roads lead to Rome. And there are many more roads that lead to other places. Yes. So in other words, if your objective is to reach Rome, then and if you don't know what is the route, you're just shooting in the dark, so to speak, then it is far more likely that you'll go down the wrong road and reach the wrong destination and just waste your time and be frustrated. It's far more likely than you'll get on the right road and you'll get there. So, what is the goal of life? We've just mentioned, and we'll see in our little show of Kumbh Mela. And there are many people, many different people think that there are many different things which are the goal of life, but they're not all the goal of life. There's a saying coined by another. I don't know if he was really claiming to be an avatar, but he was claiming to be a spiritual leader or something like that from maybe 100 years ago. Yatamata tatapata. Are you familiar with that? As many people, as many paths. Yes, you can choose whatever path you like. It's fine. If it suits you, well, that's good for you. It may not suit me, but that's okay. If something else will suit me, I'll just go for that. So, yes, but this is foolish idea. Foolish idea that I can decide what is the goal of life for me. And that will actually be the goal of life, and proper goal of life. No. Srila Prabhupada said that what happens if I decide that my religion, that there is you, there is you, you're saying whatever you like, you choose your own religion, that's fine, as you like. So you are saying like that to someone else. And someone else says, all right, my religion is to kill you. So then what do you say? Good, practice your religion. No, not like that. So we don't want to be confused and unclear and faced with having to make some sort of decision about how to progress in spiritual life, but with many more wrong options than right options. Yes. So here, Prabhupada says, this verse, now here in this verse, Now here is the verse, Prabhupada says. Now here is the verse which clearly explains the process by which one can attain success in his spiritual activity, devotional service. So we should apply ourselves to devotional service. And it's very simple. Prabhupada quotes one other verse from Bhagavad Gita here at the beginning, or sort of a little earlier in the purport. Can any of you remember that verse, in which Krishna in Bhagavad Gita is making it very clear how simple the process is? Can you remember? Oh, well done. He was listening. Very good. Chapter 9, verse 26, Krishna says, Patram Pushpam Palam Tayam Yome Bhaktya Prayachati Taraham Bhaktya Paritam Vishnami Prayatatmaha. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, flower, fruit or water, I'll accept it. What sort of leaf is that particularly, you remember? Tulsi. It could be any leaf, but particularly, especially Tulsi. Yes, any leaf offered in devotion, Krishna will be happy. But if it's a Tulsi leaf, he'll be very happy, most happy. Yes, so it's very simple. This verse is making it clear how it is very simple in that anyone can get a leaf, or a flower, or a fruit, or a little water. A child can do that, anyone can do that. Krishna does not say, you must provide me with a big feast. He just says, one leaf, one fruit, one flower, little water, just one. Who could not? Who is so poor or just in such a situation that they couldn't get one leaf or even one fruit? Isn't it? So that means it's very simple. It means that you can do it. Anyone can do it. Some of the austerities and things which people undertake in spiritual life in India, not only in India actually, but particularly in India, we'll see in our little slideshow. Some people do some very bizarre things, austere things, thinking, I want to progress spiritually, so therefore I will renounce and live an austere life like that. And we'll see a few. We'll see a few in our slideshow. But many of the things those people are doing, we couldn't do. Living in the Himalayas, no supermarket to duck into when you need something, no roof over your head, no clothes on your body in the Himalayas. It's very austere. Some of it's extremely austere in a way. You'll see some of the austerities some of the people are doing. It's really very extreme. But actually you don't need to do that. In fact, not only do you not need to go into some such extraordinarily austere process of self-denial and practically self-abuse or abuse of the body and just smashing any involvement you may have with your body. No, actually the process is so simple as we've mentioned. You just engage in devotional service. That's all. And whatever your position is, you can engage like that. Arjuna was a warrior. Don't know if we have any warriors here. We got some computer warriors here. We got some real computer warriors here, I tell you what. What was that game called? Armed Combat, was it? There was some bizarre name. But what if they said, right, now go out and do it? Not actually just on the computer, but there's some monster outside. So Arjuna, though, he was a warrior. But you might not be. You might be a housewife. So you can do that for Krishna. You might be a businessman. Prabhupada talks about that here. Then you can do business for Krishna, just like in India. Many people, they name their business after Krishna, or Lord Shiva, or somebody like that. Isn't it? You find Ishwara, transport, and all this sort of thing. Oh, it's all over. If you've been there, you would have seen so much. They've even got Krishna's BDs. It's a fact. It's a fact. I've seen it. My own eyes. Krishna's BDs, Ganesha's BDs. Get off to a good start with Ganesh. Create auspiciousness. Smoke a Ganesh BD before you start doing anything. But in many cases, people name their business after Krishna, and some of them, they told me, that they make Krishna or whoever, Shiva or Durga or somebody, a partner in the business and give them a 10% share or something like that. So there was one person, I just finished giving a class in Vrindavan in our temple one morning, Bhagavatam class, and there was some family there from Delhi, and they came jumping over and said, we're going to start a business and we're going to give Krishna a 10% share. So I thought, well, that sounds good. And they said, yes, well, we'll just wait for him until he comes to collect his share. We'll keep it and keep using it. Yeah, so when he comes, we'll give it to him. But he may not come. So, but you can do a business for Krishna in which Krishna is actually the proprietor, in which you actually make your home a temple, and Krishna is the enjoyer there, and you are there, not that he is your guest, but you are his guest. And there's a saying that the servant of the king enjoys like the king. If you offer nice food to Krishna, you can have the remnants. He's so kind, he'll leave everything for you. And if you play nice music for Krishna, you can hear it also. In a nice place, you can stay there also. So it's very simple. It's very simple to render devotional service. Even in Nectar of Devotion, if you've read, you would have seen there how Srila Prabhupada is talking about the same point, how simple devotional service is. And he says that you can even do it in your mind. Just like here, Prabhupada says, if you're a big businessman, you can build a temple for Krishna. Make some money, build a temple for Krishna. Good. That's very nice. But Prabhupada says, if you can't do that, then just go to the temple and clean the temple. It's no less, really. It's no less. So you could do that. But in Nectar of Devotion, Srila Prabhupada tells a story about someone who couldn't even do that. Couldn't do that. So this devotee, he was going to the temple and seeing nice deities, or like Ram and Sundaravati have such beautiful Sitaram, Lakshman, Hanuman there. So he saw beautiful deities beautiful deity worship. Artis and offerings and dressing them so nicely, and this was all going on in the temple, very elaborate temple worship. But this devotee was so poor. He couldn't afford anything. He was thinking, I wish I could render service like this, offering nice foodstuffs on silver plates and all opulent foodstuffs, very high class and very nice, very nicely done, and then offer arati with beautiful paraphernalia, dress the deities in magnificent clothes, decorate the whole place in the most glorious way he was desiring, but he didn't have anything. He couldn't do anything. So he was in anxiety. How am I going to serve the Lord? I got nothing. So then one day he was sitting there in the class, and the devotee was explaining this point, that you can even serve Krishna within your mind. And it's no less necessarily than actually doing it on the external level. So the devotee thought, really, is that true? So then he liked the idea, so he got into this practice. He would sit at home in his little hut or whatever and just think about these beautiful deities, Radha and Krishna, just so sweet and so nice, and worshipping them, doing beautiful puja, massaging their bodies with fragrant oils and cleaning them so nicely, then dressing them, and then offering wonderful foodstuffs, offering wonderful arati, and all these things. He would spend the whole day just sitting and meditating. So this was going on for a while, and he was enjoying it, just relishing so much. But then he thought, one day somehow a doubt came to his mind. Is it really like this, or am I just daydreaming? Just some empty-headed, meaningless thing which will actually add up to nothing. So he was in anxiety. But then he thought, no, the devotee said, so it must be like that. Anyway, at that time, he was thinking, meditating on cooking a nice feast, very nice feast for the deities in his meditation. So there he was, cooking and putting things in the bowls and preparing the plate to put on the altar. So many different nice preparations, but with this doubt in his mind sort of nagging him at the back of his mind at the same time. And one of the preparations was sweet rice. And normally sweet rice is not served hot. Normally it's served at room temperature or even cool, something like that. So he had cooked the sweet rice before and had left it one side to cool. And now he was making up the plate in his meditation to put on the altar. So he wanted to make sure that before I offer this sweet rice, let me just see that it's not too hot. So in his meditation, with his finger, he thought, let me touch the sweet rice. I'll just touch it and see in his meditation. So he touched, in his meditation, touched the sweet rice to gauge the temperature, but it was still hot. So in his meditation, he touched the sweet rice, and in his meditation, he got burnt. Oh! And then it was just such a startling experience that it broke his meditation. He came back to external consciousness. And he was wondering, what happened? What was that? Was it just a dream? That doubt was there. Then he looked at his finger. His finger was burnt. So you see, in this way, he saw that it's real. It's not just daydreaming, dilly-dallying. So then, in Nectar of Devotion, it explains how in Vaikuntha, Lord Narayan was watching. And when this happened and the devotee got his finger burnt and was quite startled and realized that this is real, Lord Narayan laughed. He laughed and he said, all right. And he told some of his Vishnu dutas, just go and get that devotee and bring him here. So in this way the devotee went back to Godhead. Yes, so it's very simple. It's very simple. If you can't afford, or somehow or other you are not in a position to get certain things together as you might like to, you can even just meditate on it. Of course, that doesn't mean that if you are quite affluent, that you should just meditate on it. No, it depends on your means. But if that is the case, that you are in such a situation, in fact, then it is real. It is not just a sentiment. And there's one book, I don't know if you've seen that book, by Vyasaki Prabhu, well-known bhajan singer and kirtan leader in our movement. He wrote one book called Radha Damodar Vilas, the pastimes and activities of the devotees who were on the Radha Damodar traveling Sankirtan party in America in the mid-70s. So he relates one story there of how the devotees were in a certain part of America where people are very conservative and kind of old-fashioned. And it was Sunday, but the devotees, just dressed in their dhotis and kurtas and saris and so on, they were traveling around the country. The devotees decided, well, let's just go out and distribute books anyway. So they went out, and these people in this very conservative, they call it redneck, if that means anything to you. It just means very kind of conservative, very stuffy, and not very liberal or nice even. So these people, the police or somebody, when they saw the devotees dressed like that, they thought, what on earth? And called the police. So the police came and arrested about several devotees who were there, quite a number, and put them in the cells, in one cell altogether. So there they were, but it was Sunday. And you know what Sunday means? It means the Sunday feast. Yes. So back, they had a bus or something they were traveling in. Back in the bus, the devotees were cooking the Sunday feast. But this group of devotees were in the prison, and they were not going to get out till the next day because they had to appear in court for whatever reason. So there they were. And then they remembered this story that I just told you. So you know what they did? They cooked a big feast in the police cell. Yes, in the police station. All these devotees were busy, just like this, just cutting up, putting things together, getting the pot, lighting the fire, just like this. Putting the pot on, taking the ingredients, putting them in, stirring, just like this, exactly. And the policemen were there watching. The policemen were already convinced, just by looking at the devotees, that it wasn't quite right. But now this, So the policeman thought, we've really got some funny ones here. So then the devotees, they spent a couple of hours. Yes, preparing like this. They prepared a big feast. Then they did an offering. They prepared a nice altar, just like this, Just like that. They did a big offering. Then they all sat down. Well, then they had a kirtan, of course, and an arati, just like this. Then they sat down, they had a big feast, just like this. And someone was saying, these samosas are so nice. This chutney is really tangy, or whatever. And the police were just... And so then they saw, there are the police watching us. So one devotee took a plate and said, here, take this. This is a true story. It's in that book. I don't know if any of you read that book, but it's there. You can see it. It's a very nice book. So anyway, devotional service is so easy. It's very nice, and we should all try and do it. Yes, we should all try to do like that and focus our lives on Krishna in every respect. Nothing else, only Krishna. Not like some people think. One for me and one for Krishna. And at a certain point they may think, well, two for Krishna, two for me, and one for Krishna. No, everything for Krishna. Yes. Try and dedicate ourselves and whatever we have at our disposals in the service of Krishna. It doesn't mean we're going to end up living in the street under a tree with nothing, because we gave everything to Krishna. Now Krishna's got everything, I've got nothing. No, not like that. But as we said, the servant of the king enjoys like the king. So you serve Krishna nicely and you'll see Krishna will reciprocate in so many ways. And yes, we can live a simple life as his servants, but very nice life as his servants, and be very happy. Be very happy. You know, today's the appearance day of Madhvacharya, you know that? Tomorrow's the appearance day of Ramanujacharya. Next day is the appearance day of Lord Varaha, and it's Ekadasi, that's Monday. Tuesday is the appearance day of Lord Nityananda. So it's a very auspicious time. Yeah, very auspicious. Madhvacharya. In fact, we'll see the head of the Madhvacharya line. He appears in, we have one picture of him in this slideshow. Madhvacharya, he was very much against those people who think that we are God and that it's all one and things like this, and I am you and you are me and we are all together, as the man said once. That sort of impersonal idea. He didn't like the impersonalists. You know about that? Madhvacharya was very big, about 7 feet tall, and very heavily or powerfully built. And when he would see any of these Mayavadis, impersonalists, chase them, he'd catch them and pick them up by the scruff of the neck and hold them up at his 7-foot height and shake them and ask them, why are you cheating the people? And sometimes he'd even give them what in South Africa they call a what happened. What happened? So what happened? Yeah. Yeah, because they're cheating the people. They're misleading the people. It's terrible. It's terrible. You come to this point after 8,400,000 species of life. Finally you come to the human form of life, and Krishna says, Manusyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam kaschid mam veti tatvataha. Out of many thousands of men, one may endeavor for perfection. Most are just interested in material life. But one out of many, many, many may be interested. What is life about? And then, even out of many thousands of them, they're rare enough to start out with. But even amongst them, you hardly find one who really understands the real truth, like what's being explained here, that Krishna is the absolute truth, we are his eternal servants. You'll hardly find one. So someone, after all that, comes to the point of being seriously interested in Krishna, in not saying Krishna consciousness, but in a general sense, in what is life all about? After being through the animal species and plant species and so on, coming to the human species, and then going through the stage of just being interested in sense gratification, they come to the point, what is life all about? Where have I come from? What is the goal of life? And someone comes along and says, well, you're God. Go for it. Yes, it's all one. Great. No problem. And that person, they're not so clued up yet. Just some idea, they have some interest. And they think, oh, really? I'm God. That sounds good. So that means at the last step, after many lifetimes at the last step, big detour. At the last instant, all they got to do is take one step, bang, they're there. But no, suddenly they just go into a reverse and just go roaring backwards. It's a crime, actually. It's a crime to mislead people like that. So Madhvacharya, when they heard he was coming, they would run. Seriously. These Mayavadis, impersonalists, they would run. Because they knew if he caught them, they'd be in big trouble. There's one story about Srila Bhakti Siddhanta. He was traveling by train and there was one of these Mayavadis in the same compartment. And the Mayavadi was trying to preach to Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, who just wasn't interested. It wasn't that he got into it and he just, wasn't interested. But this man was really trying to go at him and sort of insist. So Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, someone brought Srila Bhakti Siddhanta some mangoes. Now you may know that Srila Bhakti Siddhanta had taken a vow from the age of 3 to never take mangoes. But some nice, well-meaning devotee came and said, here, have some mangoes. So Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, he was just going to say, no, take it away. But then he noticed something. Those mangoes were a little off. They were overripe. So they had that kind of, that smell when something has turned around the corner and it's gone. So the Mayavadi was saying, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta was, beginning to express some reluctance. The man said, no, go on, it's all one. Just take it. And Srila Bhakti Siddhanta was going to explain that, well, I have this vow and, I don't take mangoes. But the man was saying, go on, no, it's all one. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said, well look, if it's all one, why don't you eat them? Then that Mayavadi, he also smelt. Oh, wait a minute. This doesn't smell so good. So I said, well, no, actually it's all right. But then Srila Bhaktisiddhanta insisted that either you eat them or you admit that it's not all one. So the man, he ate them. Even though they were just, not very nice. And actually at the Kumbh Mela 12 years ago, we weren't, at the same Kumbh Mela we'll show you some photos of, one Mayavadi came. Many Mayavadis came to our tent. We had a 5-acre site. This year we're only able to get a 3-acre site because of the flooding of the Ganges. Anyway, 3 acres is pretty big, but we had 5 acres 12 years ago. So this Mayavadi came, and he was saying it's all one, and so on and so forth, and we're all God, and I am you and you are me. Yes. And like this. And this one devotee was sort of saying, Hare Krishna. So now, at night at the Kumbh Mela, it is very cold, because it is midwinter, particularly January. It's very cold. No heating. And this man, he had nothing. He had just like one piece of cloth. That was all. So our devotees, one thing they were doing 12 years ago, is that some life members had donated some blankets. So some of the poor sadhus would come and the devotees would give them a blanket because it's very cold. It's like 0. It's really cold. So this Mayavadi came along at about 10 or 11 o'clock at night. It was getting close to 0. He had one little cloth around his waist. He came to the same devotee, said, could I have one of those blankets? And the devotee said, well, okay. So the devotee pulled out one thread about that long and cut it and said, here, there you go. There's your blanket. So that Mayavadi was looking at one thread. He said, couldn't I have a whole blanket? The devotee said, it's all one. Yes. I may look like just one entity, but I'm everything. So this may look like one thread, but it is the whole blanket. So that poor Mayavadi, in the end, the devotee said, right, look, if you admit that it's not all one, and that you are not everything, but you are just a little living entity within the greater everything, which is God, I'll give you a whole blanket. So the man said, all right. Took his blanket. Hare Krishna. Okay, so look, before it gets any later, let us just quickly try and set up our screen, and then we'll show you a little bit of Kumbh Mela. What was that? 1989, I guess. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Krishna.
Krishna Krishna.
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
Hare Rama.
Hare Rama.
Hare Rama.
Hare Rama.
Rama Rama.
Rama Rama.
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
So, we are on our way to spiritual India. We'll be leaving Singapore far behind. for a little while and going to the Kumbh Mela festival, going back in time to the Kumbh Mela festival, 1989. Just okay, Srila Prabhupada here. So, we're going to go to visit the Kumbh Mela Festival 1989, all by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada has given us everything in Krishna consciousness and given us the very best of spiritual India. There's a lot out there if you really get into it in spiritual India. There's all sorts of people worshipping all sorts of people and doing all sorts of things, but Srila Prabhupada very kindly has given us the real essence of what is Vedic culture. Pure devotional service in the line of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. So all of this then is by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. So let us begin by offering our humble obeisances at the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada and taking some dust from his lotus feet, and then away we will go to Kumbh Mela. This is Srila Prabhupada at New Vrindavan, 1976. And this is Vyasaki Prabhu also singing. Okay, anyway, fasten your seatbelts, because we're going not on Singapore Airlines, but Prabhupada's Transcendental Airline. We're going to be leaving Singapore right now and going to Kumbh Mela. Yes, well, it's very extraordinary, quite wonderful. It's quite amazing, actually, Kumbh Mela. So there's a history there. It's described in the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, how the demigods and demons were competing in different ways. So there was the ocean of milk. The ocean of milk had just manifested. This is early in the universe. And they wanted to churn the ocean of milk. So they took Mandara Mountain. This is Mandara Mountain, which Lord Vishnu is holding up there. They wanted to put the mountain in the ocean of milk, and you see in the background there is the mountain. You can see there is the serpent there, that is Vasuki. They used him as a churning rope and tied him around the mountain, and then they were pulling on both ends. So the mountain was swiveling, and in this way churning the milk ocean, and so many things came out, like this poison which Lord Shiva is drinking here. And so many things came out as they were churning. And the last person to come out was Dhanvantari, the incarnation of the Lord, who is the presiding deity of Ayurveda. Now you can see he's carrying a pot in his hand, kumbha. Yes, in that kumbha was some of the nectar of material immortality. Of course, we're all eternal anyway, whether we like it or not. But this is a nectar of immortality which can make your material body live a long, long, long time, and even revive people who may be dead. So from the material point of view, it's sort of like an attempt at shortcutting to the spiritual platform of eternal life. So there was some squabbling. Who would get the nectar of immortality? Would it be the demigods or the demons? The demons got it, but then Krishna incarnated as Mohini, you can see with female form of the Lord on the right-hand side there. And she bewildered the demons who had stolen the nectar and took it back from them and gave it to the demigods. But one of the demons named Rahu, he snuck in and he took some of that nectar, and then on the left, that's Surya, and on the right is Chandra, the moon god. They both realized this is a demon, this is not a demigod, this is Rahu, because Rahu attacks them at eclipse time. So they told Mohini, and she cut off his head with her Sudarshan chakra. But he had already drunk some of the nectar, but it was still in his mouth, it hadn't gone into his body. So his head didn't die, but his body died. So his head became the planet Rahu, who pursues the moon and the sun during the eclipses. But his body died, and as you can see, he dropped his cup with nectar. So this Kumbh Mela festival means that some of that nectar falls from the heavenly planets. It's still falling every few years. And the main time is every 12th year. Then some of that nectar falls at the confluence of the Ganges, Yamuna and Saraswati. And so the people come and they try and get some of that nectar. Of course, as we said, we're all eternal anyway. So all you have to do is chant Hare Krishna and follow the process of Krishna consciousness. But anyway, many people, they have this idea of trying to improve their material lives by getting some of this nectar which is falling from the cup there of Rahu. So, the festival takes place at Allahabad or Varanasi. You can see in the top right corner there, the little insert map. The Ganges and the Yamuna come in and join here. And the Saraswati is underground, but it comes and joins with them also. This is called the Triveni. So every 12 years, some of that nectar falls here at this confluence, and many people come. Lots and lots and lots of people. The tent city is 50 square miles. So it's big. And I've seen estimates between 35 and 70 million people this year expected. Of course, I don't think anyone counted. Did any of you ever try to count up to 35 million? What to speak of 70? Anyway, let us just say there's an awful lot of people there trying to get that nectar. So these photos are from 12 years ago, the previous Kumbh Mela. This is just where people are coming in with their bags and stuff. This is just one little part of the whole tent city. This is the main street, downtown Kumbh Mela. This is the main street at night. And it's just a small part. I mean, we're like in the middle, so it's going all around. It's very big. Last year I read about 3,500 people went missing. 230 of them they never found. This is part of our ISKCON establishment there at Kumbh Mela. Every day feeding thousands and thousands of these sadhus. And every day having big Harinam. Here's His Holiness Lokanath Maharaj leading the Harinam. Ecstatic Harinam all around this huge area. People just loving it. Such a wonderful response from the people, as you can imagine. And then on the main days, like one of the main days was the 29th, just a few, 3-4 days ago. Last of the main days. Then many people bathe. A lot of people come and somehow they get in and bathe there at the confluence. How's that? It's a lot of people. And also on the main day there is a big procession. And all the sadhus come out and they decorate up like bullock carts and things like that, and even elephant carts in some cases, and they parade through the main part of the whole Kumbh Mela area. So it's like a who's who of spiritual India. All sorts of extraordinary characters are there. These are some Shivites. Here are some of the Krishna Leela actors. They're all young boys, but they perform Radha Krishna Leela. Very beautifully, actually. They're generally from Vrindavan. Radha and Krishna. And you get just about, as we said, all sorts, just about everybody who's got anything to do with spiritual life. These are all Ram Bhaktas, you can see. This main person with the peacock crown on, he's the leader. And on his chadar there it says, what? Ram, 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 Ram. Then the lady on the left, if you look closely on her chadar, you'll see it says Ram, Ram, Ram. And the other chadars, what does it say? Ram, Ram, Ram. And what does it say on their faces? Ram, Ram, Ram. Yes, they're into Lord Ram. So they're there. And some of the Mayavadis, Shivites and other renunciates with their silver dandas, some of the trainees, some of the young brahmacharis, Janardhan, Ashwin and company. Yes, you can also do this. Get your little silver danda. Oh, this is interesting. You see in this little hut up on the legs there, this is one big sadhu. He's passed away now. His name was Devaraha Baba. Devaraha Baba used to live in Vrindavan. He's sort of like a mixture between a Vaishnav and Sai Baba. In other words, he was a big mystic. But he was not one of these flashy showmen types. He was like a recluse. And even if you go to Vrindavan now, you'll still see posters around Vrindavan of Devaraha Baba. Yes, he was a mystic, great mystic, and to some extent a devotee. And he had many siddhis, just like Sai Baba can make things disappear and appear and so on. At least people say that, some people say that. So he could also do that sort of thing. But he also had other powers. Like he was able to extend his own life through his practice of pranayama, breath control. No one knew how old he was at this point in 1989, but generally it was thought he was between 250 and 300 years old. Yeah. So Devaraha Baba, he's like a Vaishnava to some extent, mixed. Kind of mystical Vaishnava. Yeah. But not a big showman like Sai. So he was there. This is Vijay Tirtha, the head of the Madhvacharya line now in Udupi. This is the head, this is the Shankaracharya of Dwaraka. You know, there's that beautiful old Dwarkadish temple at Dwaraka? Yes. But did you know that it's controlled by the Mayavadis? They're running the temple. Would you believe it? So he's the Shankaracharya of Dwaraka. There are 4 Shankaracharyas in Sampradaya from the original Shankaracharya, so he's the one from Dwaraka. And this is Jayendra Saraswati. He's one of the leaders of the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya. So then you get all sorts. Snake charmer. But you really get all sorts. Now we'll show you some of the more extraordinary persons you get at Kumbh Mela who may not be right on completely. Like here. This is the Laddu Sadhu. But he doesn't care. Yeah, I don't know what his program is. But he was there. This is a person from the, what you call them? From the Sri Sampradaya, Ramanandi. This is a Ramanandi Vaishnava. They're in the Sri Sampradaya, but they're like a line which has gone off at a bit of a tangent. Tulsidas was in this line, and they worship Lord Ram. Although worship of Lord Ram is not in the Sri Vaishnava line actually, but somehow they adopted it. Fairly prominent tilak. How would you like to walk through downtown Singapore with tilak like that on? It'd have to be pretty serious. So this is one opulent sort of Shivite come whatever Baba. Oh, this is one Shivite, watch out, he'll stick you with his trident. There's another Shivite, a Shivite ascetic. You get many different types of Shivites. His body covered in ashes, just sitting and waiting for people to donate money and so on. There's another Ramanandi. Yeah, it doesn't look so kind of extraordinarily under the circumstances, but you know what he's doing? You know what his program is? His program is that he does not ever sit or lie down. And this little kind of swing thing he's leaning on, he leans over at night, if you get the idea, and sleeps like that, as an austerity. This is a Shivite. How's that for a beard? like he's got his hooker there, some serious ganja work. But you really, I tell you, you get just about every type. Now this person, he's also a Ramanandi. These Ramanandis, really, they're kind of a diverse and extraordinary group, although they are officially Vaishnavas. Now he has taken a vow to only stand on one leg. So that's what he's doing. And he's just, I don't know, maybe he's never seen a camera before. I mean, seriously. Because you get people, they come, and some of them just live way out there. And they're just, no idea. You know, one devotee told me, he was at the Kumbh Mela, I think that one, or maybe the one before. And he was speaking to some old sadhu. And somehow the talk got around to India and what's happening in India. And so they were talking about a little bit sort of like on the political side. And so the devotee said, well, you know, you Indians, you managed to kick out the British. The sadhu said, who are the British? But some of them, they just go off into some remote area and that's it. Ah, look. This is the Gopi Dot expert, the chief of the Gopi Dot team. He's actually a fairly prominent person there. Anyway, you get all sorts of sadhus. Here, ladies, handmade chapatis. I'm sure you were taught how to do that as children, right? Handmade chapatis. Cooked over some sort of little stove he's got organized there. Oh, he's a Shivite. How would you like to do austerities like that? That's really tough. Jalebis. And he, well, he's got Shivite Rudraksha Mala, but Vaishnav Tilak. It's a little bit of a mixture going on there. So these are some, not actually naked, but, and you know, you must understand, see these ladies, they have their chaddas on, right? It is not warm. It's maybe 5 degrees or so. They're just walking around like this. Renunciates, probably impersonalists. And then you get the Naga Babas. They just spend the whole time walking around naked, and they get to take bath first on the big days, and if you try to get in front of them, you get the trident. Yes. So, we say better to take a simpler process. Take the process of Sankirtan given by Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda via Srila Prabhupada. You don't have to become a Nagababa and walk around naked. You don't have to smoke ganja. You don't have to, you know, leave your hair for years and years and years. You just chant Hare Krishna and be happy. You can do it anywhere. Srila Prabhupada ki just chanting Hare Krishna and being happy in the association of the devotees. It's so easy. This is the process given to us by Srila Prabhupada. You don't have to live in a tree or under a tree. You can live in a beautiful temple like our temple here at Durban. It's very nice. Come and visit us sometime, actually. Come and stay with us. So, this process of Krishna consciousness as given by Lord Chaitanya and Srila Prabhupada is so nice. Anyone can do it. A child can do it. It's very easy. You can live in a beautiful temple or live in the company of wonderful devotees, worshipping very beautiful deities, like our main deities under this big dome here, behind those big glass windows under that dome. Sri Sri Radha Radhanath Ke Jai. So you can worship beautiful deities in a beautiful temple, in the company of nice devotees. You don't have to live under a tree. Just chant Hare Krishna, take prasadam and be happy. Yes. Srimati Radharani Ki Jai. So Srila Prabhupada has very kindly given us this simple, sublime process of Krishna consciousness. So let us just take it and make the most of it, and don't worry about becoming some sort of obscure sadhu lost in the Himalayas. So this is all by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada that we have this opportunity. So we should offer our humble obeisances, take some dust from his lotus feet, and follow him. Do what he says, because he's given us everything. The Vedic culture as it really is, as given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.